The message you have been avoiding is the same message your soul has been trying to deliver to you in silence. And before this ends, you will understand why this moment is not random, why these words reached you now, and why something inside you already knows the truth. Have you ever felt that a certain message, person, dream, or silence arrived exactly when you were breaking inside? Stay with this, because what you are about to hear may explain the hidden meaning behind that feeling. If these words are touching something deep inside you, pause for a second and write, "I am ready to receive the truth." Sometimes the unconscious responds when the conscious mind finally stops resisting. There comes a moment when the part of you that has been pretending to be strong finally becomes too tired to continue the performance. You may have smiled in front of others, answered, "I'm fine," carried your responsibilities, and convinced yourself that you were handling everything. But beneath that surface, something deeper was watching. Something within you knew that you were not at peace. The ego can create reasons, excuses, distractions, and stories. It can tell you that you are not hurt, that you do not care, that you have moved on, that everything is under control. But the soul does not believe in performance. It only responds to truth. This message finds you when your inner defenses begin to crack. Not because you are weak, but because you are finally ready to stop lying to yourself. The ego protects the wound by hiding it, but the deeper self heals the wound by revealing it. That is why certain words can suddenly touch a place inside you that you thought was buried. That is why a simple sentence, a memory, a dream, or even a silence can feel heavier than an entire conversation. It is not the outside world attacking you, it is your inner world asking to be seen. When the ego can no longer defend itself, life becomes painfully honest. You begin to see where you accepted less than you deserved, where you waited for people who never truly chose you, where you betrayed yourself just to keep a connection alive. This realization may feel uncomfortable, but it is not here to destroy you. It is here to return you to yourself. The message arrives now because the old version of you cannot carry the same illusion anymore. What you call coincidence may actually be the quiet intelligence of your inner life arranging a meeting between you and the truth. There are messages you could not have received earlier because earlier you were still defending the very illusion that needed to break. You would have rejected the sign, explained away the dream, ignored the feeling, or blamed the wrong person. The timing of awakening is strange. It does not obey your impatience. It waits until your pain has opened enough space for understanding to enter. Sometimes a certain video appears, a sentence touches you, a memory returns, or a person's name rises in your mind without warning. The ordinary mind says, "This is random," but the deeper mind asks, "Why now? Why did this arrive at the exact moment you were questioning yourself? Why did those words reach you when you were about to give up, go back, apologize again, or abandon your own dignity?" Not every event is a sign, but some moments carry a weight that cannot be explained by logic alone. Inner timing means that your unconscious knows when you are ready before your conscious mind admits it. It brings certain truths forward when you have enough strength to face them, but not so much comfort that you can keep avoiding them. That is why some realizations arrive during heartbreak, silence, waiting, loneliness, or confusion. These are the moments when the noise outside becomes quiet enough for the hidden voice inside to speak. The message did not come to entertain you. It came because something within you has reached a threshold. You are no longer standing where you once stood. The pattern has become too visible, the wound too familiar, the lesson too repeated. What feels like coincidence may be the soul's way of saying, "Now you are ready to see what you refused to see before." The truth you avoid does not disappear simply because you refuse to look at it. It waits beneath the surface, gathering strength, finding new ways to reach you. At first it may come as a small discomfort, a quiet feeling that something is wrong, a heaviness in your chest, a restlessness you cannot explain. You may dismiss it, distract yourself, or tell yourself that you are overthinking. But the deeper truth is patient. When you do not listen to the whisper, it begins to speak through patterns. You may notice the same kind of person entering your life again and again. The same emotional wound may reopen in different situations. The same fear may follow you into new relationships, new places, new beginnings. You may think life is being unfair, but often life is repeating what your consciousness has not yet understood. The repetition is not punishment, it is instruction. It is the unseen part of you saying, "Look here, this is where you are still bound." When a lesson is ignored, it grows louder. A feeling becomes a conflict becomes a loss becomes a collapse, not because life wants to hurt you, but because your soul can no longer allow you to live against yourself. Every ignored truth becomes emotional pressure. Every denied wound becomes a hidden ruler. It begins to shape your choices, your attachments, your reactions, and the people you allow near you. This is why certain situations feel strangely familiar, even when the faces are different. The outside story changes, but the inner pattern remains. Until you become conscious of it, you keep meeting it in different forms. The message grows louder because the part of you that wants freedom is stronger than the part of you that wants comfort. This message is not here to protect the story you have been telling yourself. It is not here to comfort the illusion that everything was fine, that they were only confused, that one more chance would fix everything, or that your suffering was proof of love. No, this message comes with a sharper purpose. It comes to separate truth from fantasy. And truth, when it first arrives, often feels cruel only because illusion was so gentle with your wounds. There are lies we do not tell because we are dishonest. We tell them because they helped us survive. We say, maybe they will change. We say, maybe I misunderstood. We say, maybe if I become softer, quieter, more patient, more available, they will finally choose me. But the soul does not heal through negotiation with what keeps hurting it. The soul heals when it finally stops defending the very thing that is breaking it. Real healing does not always enter like peace. Sometimes it enters like a storm. It pulls away the beautiful excuses. It exposes the places where you abandoned yourself while calling it loyalty. It shows you where you accepted crumbs and named them hope. It asks you to admit what your heart already knows, even if your mind is still begging for another version of the story. This is why the message may feel uncomfortable. It is not attacking you, it is attacking the false structure you built around your pain. It is not asking you to become cold, it is asking you to become honest. Comfort can keep a person sleeping for years, but truth wakes them in a single moment. And once you truly see what was hidden, you cannot return to the same blindness with the same innocence. The person or situation you keep thinking about is not only living in your mind because of attachment. It is there because it carries a symbol, a reflection, a hidden message about something unresolved inside you. Their silence may not only be silence, their distance may not only be distance, their rejection may not only be rejection. Sometimes another person becomes the mirror through which you finally see the parts of yourself you have ignored for years. You may think you are only missing them, but look closer. Are you missing them, or are you missing the version of yourself you felt you could become with them? Are you wanting their love, or are you wanting proof that you were worthy enough to be chosen? Are you waiting for their return, or are you trying to repair an older wound through a newer face? This is where many people lose themselves. They mistake emotional intensity for destiny, when sometimes intensity is only the unconscious pointing toward an unhealed place. A person can awaken your fear of abandonment, your hunger for validation, your need to be seen, your habit of chasing unavailable love, or your attachment to fantasy. And because the feeling is powerful, you may believe it must mean they are the answer. But sometimes they are not the answer. Sometimes they are the question. Why did their absence shake you so deeply? Why did their approval feel like oxygen? Why did their inconsistency make you work harder instead of walk away? This message asks you to stop worshipping the mirror and start understanding the reflection. They may have entered your life to show you where you still hand your power to someone else. They may have revealed the exact wound you are now ready to heal. The lesson is not always to get them back. Sometimes the lesson is to get yourself back from the part of you that needed them too much. Pain becomes dangerous when you begin to build a home inside it. At first, pain is only a signal. It tells you that something has touched a wound, that something needs attention, that something within you is asking to be understood. But when pain is ignored for too long, it begins to feel familiar. And what is familiar can start to feel like identity. You stop saying, I am hurt, and begin believing, this is who I am. This is where many people quietly lose themselves. They turn heartbreak into personality. They turn rejection into proof. They turn abandonment into a prophecy. They begin to expect disappointment before it arrives, mistrust love before it speaks, and sabotage peace because chaos feels more recognizable. The wound becomes the lens through which they see everything. And once pain becomes identity, healing can feel like losing yourself, even when it is actually bringing you back. But your pain was never meant to become your name. It was meant to become a doorway. It came to show you where you are still carrying what should have been processed, released, and transformed. The question is not only who hurt me, the deeper question is, what has this pain taught me to believe about myself? Because the wound may have started with someone else, but the belief it created may now be living inside you. This message comes to interrupt the repetition. It is asking you to stop bleeding in places where you are no longer being cut. It is asking you to stop returning to the same emotional room just because you know the furniture. Pain becomes wisdom only when you face it consciously. Otherwise, it becomes a pattern, a cycle, a prison. And you were not born to spend your life proving your wounds right. The delay you suffered was not empty, even when it felt cruel. There were days when you believed nothing was moving, nothing was changing, and nothing was coming toward you. You may have watched others receive what you were still waiting for. You may have questioned your worth, your timing, your choices, even the meaning of your patience. But sometimes life does not withhold something because you are forgotten. Sometimes it withholds it because you are not yet strong enough to carry it without losing yourself. There are blessings that can become burdens when they arrive before the inner self is ready. There are relationships that can consume you if you enter them from hunger instead of wholeness. There are opportunities that can break you if your foundation is still built on insecurity. The waiting was not only about the thing you wanted, it was about the person you were becoming while you waited. It was teaching you to stop chasing, stop begging, stop lowering your standards just because your heart felt lonely. Delay has a strange way of revealing what desire hides. When something does not arrive quickly, you begin to see your own patterns more clearly. You see where impatience makes you desperate. You see where silence makes you doubt your value. You see where absence makes you reach for people who do not deserve access to you. This is uncomfortable, but it is necessary. Without a delay, you might have accepted the same wound in a new form and called it destiny. The waiting season shaped your inner strength. It forced you to sit with yourself, to hear your own thoughts, to recognize what you can no longer tolerate. It sharpened your standards. It deepened your self-respect. It taught you that what is truly meant for you will not require you to abandon yourself in order to receive it. The urgency you feel is not always fear. Sometimes it is the deeper self pressing against the walls of an old life, trying to break through before you betray yourself again. Fear makes you shrink. Awakening makes you restless. Fear tells you to stay where you are because change is dangerous. Awakening tells you that staying asleep has become more dangerous than moving forward. This is why the message feels immediate. It is not asking for panic, it is asking for honesty. There comes a point when waiting for another sign becomes another form of avoidance. You already saw the pattern. You already felt the truth in your body. You already noticed how your peace changes around certain people, how your energy lowers in certain places, how your spirit becomes heavy when you keep choosing what is no longer aligned with you. Yet the mind keeps asking for more evidence because evidence delays responsibility. The deeper self does not need 10 more confirmations. It needs one brave decision. This message cannot wait because the old chapter has been surviving on your hesitation. Every time you say, maybe tomorrow, the pattern gets another day to control you. Every time you say, let me just see what happens, you hand your power back to uncertainty. But something in you is done living in that waiting room. Something in you is tired of chasing clarity from people who benefit from your confusion. Awakening often begins as discomfort. It feels like pressure, urgency, inner heat, emotional restlessness. Not because you are losing control, but because the part of you that knows the truth is no longer willing to be silenced. The next chapter does not begin when everything becomes easy. It begins when you stop negotiating with the version of yourself that was afraid to choose peace, dignity, and freedom. In the end, this message did not find you by accident. It arrived because something inside you was finally ready to hear what your heart has been trying to say for a long time. You have carried silence, confusion, longing, fear, hope, and pain. But beneath all of it, there has always been a deeper truth waiting for your attention. You are not being asked to understand everything at once. You are being asked to stop abandoning yourself for the things that keep breaking your peace. Stop calling repeated pain love. Stop calling delay rejection. Stop calling silence nothing. Sometimes silence is the place where the soul finally speaks clearly. What happened to you was not meaningless. The person who left, the person who stayed silent, the door that closed, the dream that delayed, the pattern that kept repeating, all of it revealed something. It showed you where you were still attached, where you were still waiting to be chosen, where you were still giving power to something outside yourself. But now, you are no longer the same person who first entered that pain. You have seen too much. You have felt too deeply. You have awakened too far to return to the same illusion with closed eyes. The message is simple, but it cannot wait. Choose yourself before life forces you to lose yourself again. Do not fear what is leaving. Do not chase what refuses to meet you with truth. Do not shrink yourself to fit inside someone else's confusion. What is meant for your soul will not require you to betray your own peace to keep it. This is the moment where the old chapter loses its power. Not because the past disappears, but because you finally stop letting it define you. The message has found you now because you are ready to rise, ready to see clearly, and ready to become the person your pain was trying to awaken.